First try.
Shalom, Shabbat, Shabbat, Shalom, Shabbat, Shabbat, Shalom, Shabbat, Shalom.
Good evening, Shabbat Shalom, and welcome to our services. We should say welcome back. Thank you for your patience for anyone who came by last week. You were a brave soul that was willing to go out in the snowstorm where we knew. Did you come last week? We apologize that we couldn't be here, but we want to keep it always safe. And also a special thanks to our cantor when I was away 2 weeks ago. Ran the whole thing. So I really appreciate that. We're going to begin with our candle lighting. If someone would like to come up and light candles for us. Okay, girls.
You can come, and we'll have some adults come too. Who else would like to come and light candles? You can come, Gabby. Who else? Adults come light candles with them. You can come too, Will, and an adult. You can come too, Ziva, and an adult. Yes, Elisa, come light with them. Thank you. You have about a year to go, Will, and then you'll count. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat.
Thank you. May the Shabbat candles that we now light inspire us to see justly and gently and to look honestly with kindness and to see what's holy in each other. So we turn in our prayer books to page 4 at the bottom of the page. Hine ma tov, how good and pleasant it is to be together.
It is so good that we are all here on this Shabbat together. Thankfully, the weather held out and we could all be here, and everyone made it from everywhere that they were coming from. And it's so amazing that we get to spend this time together. So please take a second just to introduce yourself or to say Shabbat Shalom to someone who's sitting nearby. Or wave from across the room, or whatever works. Hine ma tov u'manayim shavet achim gam yachad. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב, הנה מה טוב, יאללה לה, יאללה לה 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 לה. הנה מה טוב, הנה מה טוב, יאללה לה, יאללה לה 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 לה. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד.
Well, not everyone realizes how hard it is to be the one-person show, that in between prayers, you can't change your guitar, you can't get a sip of water. Now you can. The bottom
nice,
of page
I'll take it.
8, as we continue responsively, and the cantor gets to take a break with our family prayer. May we never take for granted the gift of Shabbat as we sit nestled in the Rocky Mountains, sharing this humble moment with family and friends. May the satisfaction of celebrating Shabbat hearten our spirits. Let Shabbat peace bring quiet to our souls. Allow this time set aside for song and prayer to bring us closer together in thoughts and deeds. Share become our place of devotion, glowing with reverence and filled with our traditions. May the end of this week encourage us to examine our actions, and let us look ahead toward the new week so we'll be worthy of all of God's blessings. The top of page 8 is we welcome the angels of peace and join together Shalom Aleichem.
Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyon. Mimelech Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Boachem L'Shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon. Mimelech Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Baruch Hu Ni L'Shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon. Mimelech Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Tzidchem L'Shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon. Mimelech Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu.
And on page 12, as the pilgrims were arriving in Jerusalem, they lifted their eyes to the mountains and said, Esainai, I lift my eyes, from where does my help come? We join together at the top of page 12 with the cantor.
All right, and Mark and Ella and Joanne are going to help lead us in this prayer.
You've done this before. Esainai, three.
Me'ayin yavo Ezri, Me'im Adonai, Osei Shamayim ba'aretz, Ezri, Me'im Adonai, Osei Shamayim ba'aretz, Esainai ahel hehorim, Me'ayin yavo Ezri, Esainai ahel
nice. Thank you. As we turn to page 16, at the top of the page, we travel back to the 16th century to Shabbat. It was the center of Jewish mysticism as we welcome the Sabbath bride and join together.
Lecha lecha dodi likrat ka P'nei p'nei Shabbat nikavela Lecha lecha dodi likrat ka P'nei p'nei Shabbat nikavela Lecha dodi likrat ka P'nei p'nei Shabbat nikavela Lecha lecha dodi likrat ka P'nei p'nei Shabbat nikavela Shamor v'zachor b'dibor echad Hishmi'anu el ha'miyuchad Adonai echad u'shemo echad L'shem u'tiferet v'litchila la 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 Echad dodi likrat ka P'nei p'nei Shabbat nikavela Lecha dodi likrat ka P'nei p'nei Shabbat nikavela Likrat Shabbat lechu v'nilcha Ki hi mekor ha'veracha Mirosh mikedem nesucha Sof ma'aseh b'machsheva tchila la 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 Lecha dodi likrat ka P'nei p'nei Shabbat nikavela Lecha dodi likrat ka P'nei p'nei Shabbat nikavela Mikdash melech ir melucha Kumitzi mitoch ha'aflecha Rav l'shevet be'emek ha'vacha Vehu yachmol alaychem la 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 Lecha dodi likrat ka P'nei p'nei Shabbat nikavela Lecha dodi likrat ka P'nei p'nei Shabbat nikavela
Bottom of page 18, we rise, face the rear of the sanctuary as we greet the Sabbath bride.
Boi v'shalom ateret bala Gam b'simcha u'b'tzala Toch emunei am segula Boi chala La 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 Lecha dodi likrat ka P'nei p'nei Shabbat nikavela Lecha dodi likrat ka P'nei p'nei Shabbat nikavela La 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 Lecha dodi likrat ka P'nei p'nei Shabbat nikavela Lecha dodi likrat ka P'nei p'nei Shabbat nikavela
You may be seated. I'm so impressed that you are just joining in on everything. We don't even need the cantor. Between all of you, it's really good to see you participating like that. The top of page 21, as we continue responsively with Psalm 92, it's also known as the Song for the Sabbath Day. It was recited in the temple in Jerusalem as one of the first prayers. As we continue responsively at the top of the page. It's good to give thanks to you, O Lord, to praise your name through song, to speak in the morning of your loving kindness and your faithfulness, music of the lute and the harp, the melody of the lyre. I'll sing with my delight as we continue the bottom of page 20.
Tzadikat Tamar Yifrach Ke'eres Bavanon Yizgeh Shetulim Beveit Adonai Bechatzrot Eloheinu Yashar Adonai Tzuri Velo Avlatavo.
Going back to 1921 with the Boston Globe, when Dr. Crane had his Dear Abby kind of session, and he always wrote this beautiful prayer just for today. We could have Rhode Island and Miami lead us this time, right? You're here for the week skiing. We have to make you work for it. The two of you could lead this. What am I reading? On just for today, page
23.
23.
Just for today, I will live one day only, forgetting yesterday and tomorrow, and not trying to solve the whole problem of life at once.
Just for today, I'll be unafraid of life and death, unafraid to enjoy the beautiful and be happy. People are as happy as they make up their minds to be.
Just for today, I will adjust myself to what is, and not try to adjust everything to suit me. If I cannot have what I like, I will try to like what I have.
Just for today, I'll be agreeable, cheerful, charitable, do my best, praise people for what they can do, not criticize them for what they cannot do. And if I find fault, I'll forgive it and forget it. I'll try not to improve nor regulate anybody except myself.
Just for today, I will have a plan. I may not follow it exactly, but I will have one. It will save me from worry, hurry, and indecision.
Just for today, I'll get people off my nerves and not get on theirs. I'll appreciate them for what they do and what they are.
Just for today, I will not show it if my feelings are hurt.
Just for today, I'll find a little time for quiet, to relax, realize what life is and can be. Time to think about God and get a better perspective of myself.
Just for today, I will look at life with fresh eyes and discover the wonder of it. I will know that as I give to the world, so the world will give to me.
Thank you. We turn to page 24 in our prayer books. Rise, our call to worship as we join together in the Baruch Hu.
Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMevorach.
Baruch Adonai HaMevorach HaMevorach Le'olam Va'ed HaMevorach HaMevorach Le'olam Va'ed. You may be seated. Bottom of page 28, we have this beautiful reading, talks about God's wondrous creations. And for those of you that came in for the week or a few weeks, certainly when you go up on the mountain, you see God's wondrous creations. Bottom of page 28 as we continue responsively. As we join together on this Shabbat Eve, we take in the greatness of God's creations. As the snow melts from the mountain peaks on high, let our worries of the week flow away. And as the mountain springs give forth fresh water, let our souls feel refreshed. The creeks join streams and become the great rivers. Let our faith and love grow stronger. And as we stand in awe of the great beauty of the Rocky Mountains, let our faith in God increase and renew. Let this be the Shabbat, a time of peace. Ahavat Olam, the top of page 28.
Ahavat Olam Beit Yisrael Amcha Ahavta Amcha Ahavta Torah u'mitzvot Chukim u'mishpatim אותנו למדת, אותנו למדת. על כן אדוני אלוהינו בשוכבנו ובקומנו נשיח בחוקיך ונשמח בדברי תורתך ומצוותיך לעולם ועד כי הם חיינו ואורך ימינו ובהם נגה יומם ולילה נגה יומם ולילה ואהבתך אל תסיר ממנו לעולמים ברוך אתה אדוני אוהב עמו ישראל אוהב עמו ישראל.
On page 30, at the top of the page, we'll join together in the Shema.
We'd like to invite Ziva and Will and Maya and Lila and Gabby and Gabriel and Andreas to lead us in the Shema.
That's half of us.
That's half the room, and I love it. And then Will is going to lead us in Via Hafta after that.
Wait.
Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad
Baruch
Shem
Shem
Kavod
Malchuto Leolam Vaed. Okay.
Ahavta et Adonai Elohecha bechol levavcha uvechol nafshecha uvechol meotecha vechayu hadvarim ha'elech asher anochi mitzavecha hayom alevavecha veshinantam levanecha vedibarta bam veshivtecha bevetecha uvlechtecha vaderech ushochbecha uvkumecha ukshartam leot al yadecha vehayu letotafot beinenecha uktavtam amazizot betecha uvisharecha.
Wow, thank
Levantis kiru vasitem et kol mitzvotai vitem kedoshim leloechem ani Adonai Elohechem asher hotzeiti etchem me'eretz Mitzrayim liot lachem lelohim ani Adonai Elohechem.
And how grateful we are to be here. At the top of page 32, we think about the gratitude of living in this beautiful valley. As the sun sets slowly behind the mountains of Vail, we gather together appreciative of the many gifts we enjoy. Well, this Shabbat, amidst the peacefulness of these surroundings, let us no longer focus on that which we desire, but rather upon what we already savor, the quietness of the creek and the soft mountain air. Thank you each day for health of body, mind, and spirit. Let our daily actions reflect our gratefulness for our lives every moment with every breath. And as we recite our prayers surrounded by family and friends, let us joyfully lift our voices in song, grateful to God who has given us the blessings of Shabbat. Bottom of page 32 as we join together.
Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi kamocha netav hakodesh, nora tehilot oseh pele, nora tehilot oseh pele.
this Shabbat evening, we seek peace and comfort, and we ask, dear God, that you shield us from hatred and destruction that plagues so many corners of the world. Console those in need as we continue the top of page 34, Hashkivenu.
Hashkivenu Adonai, Eloheinu leshalom, me'amidenu malkeinu lechayim. Hashkivenu Adonai, Eloheinu leshalom, me'amidenu malkeinu lechayim. Ushmor Tzveiteinu, Uvoeinu, L'chaim u'shalom, me'ata ve'ad olam. Hashkivenu Adonai, Eloheinu leshalom, me'amidenu malkeinu lechayim. Hashkivenu Adonai, Eloheinu leshalom, me'amidenu malkeinu lechayim.
And as we read from the book of Exodus, in 6 days the Lord created the heavens and the earth, and on the seventh day he rested. Bottom of page 36. We'll join together V'shamru.
V'shamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, la'asot et ha-Shabbat l'dorotam, berit olam, beini uvein b'nei Yisrael oti le'olam. Ki sheshet yamim asa Adonai et hashamayim ve'et haaretz, ubayom hashvi'i Shabbat Shabbat vayinafat Shabbat Shabbat vayinafash Shabbat Shabbat vayinafash.
Well, I visited the hospital earlier today before services to one of our members was in, but when I was talking to one of the doctors, he said, we just have a line going out the door with broken arms from the mountains. So I thought that would be a heck of a refuah shlema list of all these people that are coming in with the broken bones on such beautiful ski days as well. So we'll include them, we'll keep them in our thoughts. But in the meantime, we know we have others in our community who are in need of healing of body, mind, or spirit. Please feel free in just a moment to share their name aloud as we move about the sanctuary. We'll continue including everyone in this Mishaberach, our prayer for healing, page 38.
Mishaberach Avotenu Mekor HaBracha Leimotenu. May the source of strength, who blessed the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen.
We keep in our thoughts Carolyn Anel, Emil Anel, Lynn Ambrose, Gail Balin, Sue Beiser, Linda Cullen, Blanche Deutsch, Lynn Deutschman, Sarah Jane Drescher, Carol Ann Finn, Jane Friedman and Steve Friedman, Don Gernstein, Deborah Goldman, Cliff Goldman, Don Graubert, Mike Herman, Ken Imler, Donald Jaffe, Harriet Jaffe, Warren Janowitz, Mary Sue Katz, Skip Clowens, Herman Keek, Brian Kushner, Renee Levine, Renee Myers, Chester Parver, Stephen Reese, Daniel Rosen, Chip Ruth, Roberta Scheller, Sam Schwartz and Bernie Shavitz, Ann Sheldon, Bill Silvers, Dina Stempler, Mark Strauss, Maury Strauss and Ann Tenenbaum, Rita Weinstein, Tevi Wellens, Brian Wilson, and Mickey Winokur. Thank you. Oh, thank you.
Mishaberach imotenu mekor habracha leavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen.
And as we turn to page 40 in our prayer books and braais, we'll continue with the Reader's Kaddish.
Yitkada v'yitkadash shemei Rabba.
Amen.
Be'alma divra kirtei ve'amlich malchutei.
V'chayechon uv'yomechon uv'chayedecha Beit Yisrael. Agala ba'agala uv'izman kariv.
Ve'imeru.
Amen. Yesh me'ra ba'mevarach le'alam u'lameho maya yitbarach.
Yitzbarach v'yishtabach, yitpar v'yitromam yitnaseh, v'yitadar, v'yitaleh, v'yitalal, shemei dekudsha,
Rechu.
le'elam in kol berchata v'shirata.
Tushbechata v'nechemata Damiram biyama.
Ve'imeru.
Amen. Eternal God, open my lips that my mouth may declare your glory. So we continue the top of page 42 and then silently through page 57.
Adonai. Ananana svatai tiftach. Ananana ofi yagid. Ofi yagid tehilatecha. Ananana Adonai. Ananana svatai tiftach. Ananana ufi yagid. Ufi yagid tehilatecha. Ananana Adonai. Ananana svatai tiftach. Ananana ufi yagid. Ufi yagid tehilatecha. Ananana Adonai.
Ananana svatai tiftach.
Ananana ufi yagid. Ufi yagid tehilatecha.
may be seated when you've completed the Amida. Hear my prayer, and may my prayer be worthy of being heard. Yilu Ratzon. The cantor continues, the middle of page 56.
Yehiyu le'ratzon imrei fi v'hegyon libi lefanecha Adonai Tzuri v'gali Tzuri v'gali Yehiyu l'ratzon imrei fi v'hegyon libi lefanecha Adonai Tzuri v'gali Tzuri v'gali.
Well, just 2 weeks ago, it felt as though that Janet and I had traveled back into time. We were spending our time in London and Amsterdam and in conversations with many of the Jews that were living there. When they referred to the war, there was no misunderstanding that there was no other war since World War II. Well, 81 years ago, on October 9th, 1942, Anne Frank wrote in her diary that our many Jewish friends and acquaintances are being taken away in droves. The Gestapo are treating them very roughly and transporting them in cattle cars to a place called Westerbork. It's a big camp in Drenthe where they're sending all the Jews. And then she added, if it's this bad in Holland, what must it be like in those faraway and uncivilized places where the Germans are sending them? We assume most of them are being murdered. The English radio says that they're being gassed, and perhaps that's the quickest way to die. Well, part of our journey was an attempt to both trace the footsteps of Anne Frank and also better understand how 75% of Dutch Jewry could be murdered. Well, before heading north to in Holland, we drove through, it was just an unassuming neighborhood, and it was a park. It was in Amsterdam, and we drove past Anne Frank's home, which really is not even a tourist stop for anyone. It's quietly memorialized a little off to the side in the park by a statue of Anne, and she's all bundled up and she looks very heavy, portrayed wearing many, many layers of clothing that she was going to wear when she then went to the attic. Later in the day, we climbed through the hidden bookcase and stood in the last place where the family stood in Amsterdam before being transported by the Nazis. It was then when we set out on a 2.5-hour drive north where I think very few tourists venture. It was to a transition camp originally constructed by the Dutch government. It was to house war refugees from Germany that were seeking asylum in Holland. We parked the car and then began a 3-mile walk. It was along a path through a deep forest. It was to a concentration camp called Westerbork. Because it was the dead of winter, we were almost entirely alone. Almost no one was inside the fences. We walked along a path, and there were long railroad ties put vertically, each listing the number of Jews taken from their homes. The path where thousands upon thousands, they walked the last time on Dutch soil before taken to Auschwitz, Bergen-Belsen, or Sobibor. So when the Germans invaded the Netherlands in May of 1940, the authorities decided, that Westerbork was going to become a transit camp for Jews destined to be deported east. On July 1st, 1942, the German SS troops arrived into the camp to supervise the transfer of the Jews from Holland to Auschwitz. Surrounding the camp, it's completely surrounded by barbed wire fence, and they constructed 107 barracks. It was designed to hold 300 people in each. Well, the first transport left for Auschwitz-Birkenau concentration camp the very next day of the Nazis' arrival on new railroad tracks that were built just for the Westerbork camp. Now, I learned that those Jews who had been caught in hiding within Holland, well, they were labeled convict Jews. So we made the long walk across the camp where this group was placed in, it was called a punishment block, barrack number 67. Unlike the other inmates, they weren't allowed to keep their clothing. They were forced to wear blue coveralls and wooden clogs. The men were in the punishment block. They had to shave their hair off and had no soap. Less food than all the other prisoners, and they were forced to work this arduous labor details that no one else had. The convict Jews, those caught in hiding, were the first to be selected for transport every single Tuesday to Auschwitz. Well, of the 107,000 Dutch Jews that passed through Westerbork, only 5,200 survived. Well, nowhere could this loss be felt more than a Shabbat service that we attended in Amsterdam. As you sit in the service, it was incredible. You could feel within the prayers, and it just seemed to hang in the air as the cantor was singing and the congregation was singing with him, that an entire generation of Jews were lost. And while a new generation was beginning to carry on their memory, you felt the presence of all of those 107,000 that were taken away and murdered. Well, the last transport from Westerbork to Auschwitz, the very last train on that Tuesday, left Holland on September 3rd, 1944, and it carried 1,019 Jews. And that transport then arrived in Auschwitz on September 5th. Among the deportees of that last train was the Frank family, Anne, her father Otto, mother Edith, and her sister Margot. Well, the United Nations General Assembly designated January 27th as the anniversary, the liberation of Auschwitz-Birkenau. They began to call it an International Holocaust Memorial Day. And what's so important is we must speak out to those who still say that the Holocaust just didn't exist. What I ask all of them, and if I would go to any school, I would say the same, walk where we walked while we were in Holland. 6 million Jewish victims of the Holocaust, 6 million just everywhere we went seemed to cry out to remember us. And we must remember so this could never happen again. Well, I didn't take one of the bulletins, so you're going to have to help me here with some dates. We have the book Chavara. Oh, Phil, you could tell us all about it. The name of the Alchemy of the Air? Of air. And I know Janet's going through the whole thing and telling me more about it than anything. And it sounds like a fascinating book. And we encourage everyone, it's deep, but just the idea of what the author came up with. And our book Chavara is open to everyone. So those who are watching from near and far, please join with us on Zoom. I know you're going to have great questions for us about it. And it's just such a unique idea of what transpired through his genius, of what he was able to accomplish. And that's on what day? February 23rd? Okay, and just check your newsletter. We look forward to having you join that. The whole thing is by Zoom, yes. So please join us. Even if you've not read it, it'll be fascinating. And our cantor is a very busy person. Are there any tickets available?
I don't think so. I have 7 sold-out shows for the musical that I'm in right now called Something Rotten. It's a super fun show. We have a lot of events coming up for our religious school.
That's it about your show?
That was it. That was it. That's the whole thing. I can't tell them to get tickets. There's no tickets left.
So next year, there's 2 tickets left.
There's 2 tickets left.
Okay.
Oh, at the B'nai Vail Vail
It sounds like a great
table.
show, and I
There's
know
2
you put in a
tickets.
lot of work for that.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, thank you. So if you want to come sit at the B'nai Vail table, go talk to Seth. He has 2 tickets left. We bought a few tables. And we have a Tu B'Shvat Seder coming up for our school. We have a lot of Shabbat events and things coming up for the school as well. So if you have any young people that you know living locally that would like to join us, please do. And if you would like to join us for any of those events, everyone is welcome as well.
And you'll notice many of the changes that are taking place, I think slowly, but that's the way construction happens here in the valley. But it's happening. Are we still on one camera? We're using more than, this is exciting. So this camera's
yay.
working and the center camera, and eventually this one. Okay, well, we think it's happening, and soon, for all of you who are watching, it'll be zooming in on all the different things that we're doing. And you'll notice if you were downstairs, the whole wall was taken out, and now we have these big windows that you can't open until summer, but it's beautiful. The other security thing, which I think was amazing, is that the doors are now on timers, that at 6 o'clock, don't come late for services. They lock, which is very cool. You can still get out. You know, if it gets boring. You can
And
still
Seth will let you in if you come a
Right.
couple minutes late.
But also the
Okay.
gate goes up automatically, so there's a lot of things that they're really working on to make this even more beautiful. So we are so glad that you were able to join us, and those from Seacrest and from the East Coast. I know all of you were able to come. Gorblowskis, I know they're watching, so they're always watching. So good to see everybody who's with us. We're going to return to our prayer books now. On page 60, as we rise, we'll join together Aleinu.
Aleinu l'shabeach la'adon hakol, la'teit gedula le'yotzer bereshit, shalo asanu kigoyei ha'aratzot, ve'lo samanu k'mishpachot ha'adama, shalo sam chelkeinu kahem, ve'goraleinu kechol hamonam, v'anachnu korim, u'mishtachavim u'modim, Lifnei Melech, Malchei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, V'ne'emar, V'haya Adonai, L'melech al kol ha'aretz, Bayom hahu, Yeh Adonai echad, U'shemo, Echad.
At this moment of memory of our loved ones who are no longer with us, we join hands in love and remembrance because a link has been broken, the chain that bound us together. Strong bonds of home and love hold us one to another. In solemn testimony to that unbroken faith which links the generations one to another, we call to mind those whose yahrzeit we observe this month. Robert L. Bernstein, Helen Bronstein, Gladys Brodsky, Nancy Budd, Jacob Cantor, Ethel Cohen, Carl Dietz, Toby Dvorkin, Rhea Iyer, William Fishback, Jason Fleischman, Robert S. Fremont, Joan Frommer, Max Fermansky, Molly Futernick, Maurice Goldberg, Lily Groblowski, Irene Grossman, Bob Janko, Bernice Jenkins, Lee Kay, Mary Kent, Sidney Joseph Kern, Maxine Landau, Jack Leeds, Rita Lewis, Brandon Merritt, George Mintzer, Arlene Neperant, Doris Olch, Richard Peller, Gary Plotnick, Molly Raymer, Lester Reese, Victor Resnick, Bernice Resnick, Kurt Rosenbach, Irving Ross, Robert Rubin, Jim Sandberg, James Sandberg, Charlotte Schiff, Jenny Lou Schoolman, Arthur Shapiro, Marjorie Schunholtz, Adele Siegel, Isidore Jack Silver, Charlie Slakowitz, Dawn Suslin, Dorothy Spector, Yetta Spiro, Norman Spitzmiller, Sheila Strauss, C.J. Tenner, Lillian Wagner, and Dorothy Wiener. If anyone else is observing yahrzeit this month. Thank you. The Mourner's Kaddish can be found in our prayer books on page 64. And those who may join with me as we say, Yitzgadal v'yitzkadash shemei rabbah, v'alma divrach hirutei v'amlik malchutei, v'chayei chon v'yomei chonu v'chayei d'chol Beit Yisrael, Bagolav izman kariv v'ramein. Yehesh me rabba mevarach leolam ome omaya. Yitvarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh. Yithadar v'yitalev v'yitalal shemei dekudisha brichu. Le'elam min kol birchata v'shirata. Tushbechata v'nechemata. Damiran v'yalma v'imramein. Yehesh shlomo rabba min shemaya. V'chayim aleinu v'yal kol Yisrael v'imramein. Oseh shalom b'imramav. Huya aseh shalom. Aleinu v'yal kol Yisrael v'imramein. You may be seated. I would never surprise you with a Tu B'Shvat song, would I?
Oh, okay. Are we doing Tu B'Shvat song for Adon Olam tonight?
Inch by inch,
Oh, inch by inch. That would be fun. We can do that.
The garden grow. I know you could do it. We've done it, right?
I don't know.
Okay. Is there a better one?
No, that's great. That's perfect. That'll work. Adon Olam Asher Malach B'terem Kol Yitzir Nivra Le'et Nasa B'chesa Kol Azay Melech Shemo Nikra
Page 66.
Kichlot HaKol Levado Yimloch Nora V'hu Haya V'hu Ho V'hu Yeh V'tzifara.
It's good.
Hu Echad V'ein Sheni L'hamshilo Le'achbira Bli Reshit V'li Tachlit V'lo Ha'oz V'hamizra V'hu Eli V'chai Goali V'tzorchav Li B'eit Sarah V'hu Nisi Umanos Li Menakosi V'yom Ekra V'yado Afki Ruchi B'eit Tishan V'a'ira V'imruchi Gaviati Adonai Li V'lo Ira.
There we go.
Inch by inch, row by row, gonna make our garden grow. All it needs is a rake and a hoe and a piece of fertile ground.
That's Tu B'Shvat. Inch by inch, row by row, gotta make the garden grow.
Someone warm them from below till the rain comes tumbling down.
Wow, very nice. And for those of you that have Netflix, I forgot to announce that, and if you have not seen the show Hallelujah, it's amazing. If you have Netflix or can borrow it from someone else, it's a really incredible program, and it's worth watching. Well, let's rise for a closing blessing. Adonai oz li'amo yatein, Adonai v'rechet amo v'shalom. May the Lord grant strength unto his people, bless all peoples with peace.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen l'chaim. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi lachem min haaretz b'tei avon.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom. Bim bam, bim 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 bam, bim 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 bam. There's challah and grape juice in the back. Bim bam, bim 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 bam, bim 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 bam. Shabbat shalom, Shabbat shalom, Shabbat 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 shalom, Shabbat shalom, Shabbat shalom. Shabbat, 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 Shalom. Shabbat, 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 Shalom. Shabbat, 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 Shalom. Shabbat, Shalom. Shabbat, Shalom. Hey, Shabbat, 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 Shalom. Bim, bam, bim, 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 bam. Bim, 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 bam. Chiri, biri, biri, bim, bam. Bim, 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 bam. Bim, 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 bam.